of course, my name is Emmanuel. Again, Lester, I want to thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to be here. I think what you're doing is a very, very good thing in terms of getting to know the candidates, because more often than time we see a number of candidates pop up, and then the question is, who is this individual, who is this one? So again, I think I'll take my hat off to you. It's a very good initiative that you're doing, so the general public at large can get to know who each and every one of us are. When you look at it, there's 90 candidates for 15 seats in Parliament. So of course you're doing a very, very good thing. So again, congratulations to that. Well, again, who do you have here? Emmanuel, candidate number 8 on the National Alliance slate. My slogan is service above self, and I desperately believe in that. That is what I am known for. Who is Christopher? I came back here from studying in Europe in 2002. I came here for a short while, then I went back. And then I came back in 2003.
And what did you see?
I did teaching and education in University of London. I did half of the school in Amsterdam. It was a combination study also in England. And then, yes, and I'm not a teacher. However, I like the study. I've always been part, in education. But I came back here to St. Maarten, my home, my country, because it doesn't matter where I go. After 4 or 5 days, I want to come back home. And I always tell people, before Christopher is a politician, I am more a political activist, because I speak out about issues in our society. So you will hear my voice most of the times. You may not know the face, but all the issues when it comes to Simpson Bay Resort, when a number of individuals was laid off, Emmanuel brought that story. When you talk about the Pelican issue down at the roundabout and the cost of it, Christopher brought that story. When it came to the tax department and all those sort of things, Christopher brought that story. Because you see, there are uncomfortable things in our society that we want to talk about, that we want to say, but no one wants to say anything.
Well, let's get straight into it.
Sure.
Because I do remember you as the guy who was in the newspaper talking about the Pelicans. It's like every week there was something. Then it just died down, disappeared. So,
but I say this all the time, Lester. GEBE, the Harlem, Winnie, Smith Combs, Pelham, they are government-owned companies. They are companies that belong to the people of St. Maarten. Nothing is private in those companies. So the people of St. Maarten has a right to know how these companies are functioning, how they are operating, and what is going on. And at a point in time, things was getting very difficult. Not for my person, but for the individuals, for the staff, for the workers down on the airport. I'm not one not to listen to advice when it comes from leadership, when it comes to a regular man on the street. Okay? And leadership said, listen, Chris, the more you press on this issue, the more you bring up this issue, as right as you will be, the more victimization will take place down on the airport. So you decide, you make a choice. And basically for me, right, like I said, it's not that Christopher was going to lose a salary, or be sent home, or be victimized, or be scrutinized. It wasn't going to happen to Christopher. There was individuals that was being targeted at the airport, for information that the public had read to me. And I made a decision that, look, listen, the right thing to do was not to leave it die down, but to step back a bit.
So, what got you into politics?
Well, listen, I always tell people, right, and I encourage young people to get into politics. Why? You can have the brightest of ideas. You can be an activist. You can be a social worker. You can be a leader in your community. But all the things that you want to see happen, that you think should happen, it happens in one place, where you have a power to make a decision. If you're not in that position to make a decision, then all that you're standing for, all that you want to get done, right, will just be wind. You can speak about it as much as you want. And if someone in that position don't take them and say, let me go with this because this is deserving of the people, it's not going to get done. And there's a number of issues that I believe, right, the people of St. Maarten deserve. Hence the reason, that's the same reason why I'm into politics.
Let's jump straight into it. Let's talk about those issues that you see. We all know, I'm sure, like every candidate on the list will talk about the same social ills that we have. Lack of jobs, crime, everything we're trying to tackle. Now, this is what makes each candidate different. What are your solutions?
You know what? I'm not even going to take it from that angle. And let me explain to you why. And it's not to say that it's not a legitimate question. First and foremost, what is it that we are in here, Lester? What we're in here is a parliamentary election. This is the first parliamentary election that will be held in St. Maarten. 4 years ago, what we had was an island council election where island council members was voted in and they rotated over as being members of parliament. It wasn't a parliamentary election. This is the first parliamentary election. And what is the branch of parliament? Because I was also on an interview on Friday and I said the same thing. I said, anytime a politician come to you in these parliamentary elections and tell you, I'm going to do this, and I want to do that, and I'm going to build this, take it from me, they are lying. Because in the position that you're running from, which is a legislature, that is what makes up the branch of parliament, which is the law-making body in the three as politicals: the judiciary, the executive branch, and the parliamentary branch, the legislative branch, the branch where we make the laws, where we make amendments, where we propose certain things. So basically, if I come here and I say, listen, I'm going to build this school, and I'm going to do this, those are the jobs for the ministers in the executive branch who are not voted by people, but they are appointed by their colleagues. That's the first thing. So to come and tell you about solutions, the question is solutions to what? You see, solutions to what? That's the question. Because as a member of parliament, you can look at the minimum wage, you can look at a 6 months contract, you can look at health care, you can look at something and say, I have a motion. There's a law. I want to amend the 6 months contract. And I'm going to bring a proposal, I'm going to bring an amendment to the table of parliament so we can debate it, we can discuss it, because I believe, right, the minimum wage should be $1,000. I believe the 6 months contract shouldn't exist anymore. I believe the GDPE fuel clause should be eliminated. We should not have a GDPE fuel clause. Listen to me, brothers. The population of St. Maarten, the southern side, give and take about 25 to 40,000 people, if that's what it is. The city of Sao Paulo in Brazil is 1.2 million people. That whole city in Brazil runs on biodiesel. The whole city runs on biodiesel. 1.2 million people. Here we are in St. Maarten with 40,000 people running generators on heavy fuel and light fuel. We all know, in comparison to price, cost, shipping, biodiesel is much, much cheaper. It's also environmentally friendly than heavy fuel. But what it takes is political will. Someone who has balls to say, listen, enough of exploiting, because that's what it is now. Because when you have a government-owned company making 70 to 75 million in profit, these are facts. I'm not making up nothing. You can go and you can get those numbers. Then you need to ask yourself a question. Why? And how come? And what are they doing with the money? What's the alternative? So I am saying, Parliament of St. Maarten, the people of St. Maarten, spends hundreds and thousands of dollars sending members of parliament to Palatino. What do they bring back? They go to Panama, they go to Uruguay, they go to Paraguay, they go to Brazil, they go all of these places. What Reciprocity. What are you bringing back to the people of Maarten? So I am saying, it is time we direct our resources into that direction. Get by using our engines. Find the cost. Do a study. Go and get it done. And I can guarantee you, even with the shipping, even with the holding of the fuel, it will be much, much cheaper than what we're using today.
Let's get back to getting to know you.
Right.
So why should I vote for
Christopher Emmanuel? I tell people all the time, let me be your voice. Let me say the things that you want to see. Because I believe that if we look over the 4 years of Parliament, right, it was, I say one thing here, and then I do something else here. I think we need someone that has the tenacity to stand up and say, listen guys, this is wrong. Whether you go according to party lines or you go against party lines, if it's in the best benefit for the people of St. Maarten, then you have to say it. And I've said it. What was done to the Simpson Mill workers was wrong. What was done with the Pillar King at the airport was wrong. What is being done with the seniors right now, it is wrong. The 6 months contract, the abuse of it, it is wrong. Minimum wage, it is wrong. Those things are wrong when we look in our society. Listen to me. You cannot spend $55 million on a bridge, $30 million on a hospital shell, right up the road where we are. $2.something million on 6 cabanas that they are putting on the beach. $2.something million. Okay? And then we're talking about another couple of $1 million to finish a government building. Millions of dollars that we are putting in concrete. But the lives of people in this country is bordering on poverty. Because when you can't afford the basic necessity, you can consider yourself poor. And we have poverty in this country.
So what would have been your priorities instead of a bridge?
What would have been, really? Yes. What would have been my priority instead of a bridge? Do you know that the hospital that we have don't have an MRI machine? A bridge or MRI machine? A bridge or cardiovascular? Do you know the amount of money we send to the Dominican Republic? That we send to Colombia with specialists? Why can't we have the specialists here? What kind of money that we are spending? Come on, guys. We are building a debt. We are building a debt. We floated a bond for a bridge. We want to float a bond for a hospital. We float a bond for a government building. We are creating a balloon debt in this country that's going to saddle and yoke the next generation that is coming. And that is unfair.
What is your experience with legislation per se?
Very good question. Christopher Emmanuel's work experience when it comes to legislation is right next to the horse's mouth. Why am I saying that? I'm the senior policy advisor for the National Alliance faction in Parliament. And part of my job is to do research, is to bring questions, is to look over stuff, is to review all sort of documentation that the members of Parliament that represents my faction. So, for example, if we are talking about labor, if I know my members of Parliament talking about labor, there's a meeting that's going to come up on labor, it is my job to go and research. What does the ILO Convention on Labor says? You know, what is the Labor Department here doing with this? It is my job to formulate questions. It is my job to see to it that each and every member of Parliament that represents the National Alliance faction is well equipped and well geared to answer these questions, to bring these motions, bring these proposals, or even on the law. Because you have done the research, you were speaking, whether you went and you inquired with lawyers or experts in the field, that is your job. That is your job.
Can you give me some successful laws or motions that were passed by you guys?
But one that I'm very proud of is the abuse of the short-term 6 months labor contract. That motion was brought by the National Alliance faction and the independent member Francis Singh. to the floor of Parliament. It was voted on overwhelmingly. It is out there now over the ministers, so they can peruse it, they can look over it. It's just a matter of them. Government that is in place now, which is the UP and DP and independent member Emmanuel, to push it out the door and say the abuse of the 6 months contract can no longer happen.
Concerning criteria and so forth, should it be mandatory or should it not be mandatory for a parliamentarian to speak Dutch?
I don't think it should. And let me explain to you why. What's our Magna Carta?